Hey everyone, I am Elizabeth Sherman from Total Health by Elizabeth. And what I am is I am a health coach. I deal with helping people lean into healthier habits through making simple life changes. And in the areas that I work with folks, I work with them in eating and activity and stress management and sleep management. And right now I am in the middle of doing 30 days of Facebook Live. And so today what I want to talk about is carbohydrates. Are they a friend or are they a foe? And there is so much going on with carbohydrates right now. People love to demonize them. On the flip side, people love to say, oh, eat as much sugar as you want and it's not going to affect you. And so I think that there's a huge balance. And I also think that depending on your age and your gender, it's going to influence your body differently. So let's talk about carbs first. What are carbs? At a very simple level, and I'm hopefully not going to get too sciencey on you, at a very simple level, carbohydrates are what your body uses for energy. Okay, and carbs are generally, they come from some sort of plant life. So something that comes from the ground. So in other words, animals, if you eat meat, meat generally does not have any carbohydrates in it. It might have some trace, but generally they don't. So anything that you find that its origin was a plant, then that is going to be a carbohydrate. Now, it's really important to realize that not all carbs are created equal. There is a huge difference in quality of carbohydrates as well as how they're going to affect you. So like on one side, we have Oreos, right? And on the other side, we might have broccoli. And so there's this huge continuum of what is considered a carbohydrate. And so you can't demonize all carbs and say all carbs are bad. So what we like to do is I prefer to talk about starches. So when we talk about starches, we're talking about foods that generally raise your blood sugar. And so those vegetables, generally the vegetables that grow above ground, like broccoli, like cauliflower, like asparagus, green beans, things like that, those really don't have a lot of impact on your blood sugar. And but what does have impact on your blood sugar are things that are sweet. So things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, fruits, and not just sweets, so like baked goods, but also grains will also have a huge impact on your blood sugar. And so those are all starchy carbohydrates. So I'd like to make a distinction between non-starchy carbohydrates and starchy carbohydrates, because I think that you can eat as many non-starchy carbohydrates as you want, and it's not really going to affect your life so much. No one has really gained a lot of weight by eating broccoli. So now we have starches, and with starches we still have a continuum. So on one side, again, we have pastries and things like that, but on the other side we have things like sweet potatoes and I can't speak. And squash and things like that. And so what you want to do is, when you are eating carbohydrates, you want to have as much nutrients within those carbohydrates as you possibly can. Also, vegetable type carbohydrates are going to have more water and more fiber in them, which is better for you than those refined carbohydrates like pasta and cookies and cakes and brownies and things like that. Yes, they're tasty, but they're going to raise your blood sugar and they're not going to give you a lot of nutrients. Okay, so now that we have that continuum of where carbohydrates lie, and I want to say that there's no food that is absolutely bad, and there's no food that's absolutely good. So, broccoli has some studies that say that it's not all great for you, and kale. I mean, who would have thunk? But on the other hand, as a culture, we eat to have some sort of social interaction. And so you can't say, oh, I'm just going to cut out all carbohydrates that are bad for me. Because again, how much is that? So the idea is to have carbohydrates in a controlled manner. So in other words, for everybody, and I was talking about something called somatotype yesterday. Somatotype is just your body shape. So we have 3 different types of somatotype. We have what are called ectomorphs. They're lean and skinny people who have a hard time gaining weight and gaining muscle. We have on the other end of the spectrum, we have endomorphs who are bulkier and gain muscle easily, but they also gain fat easily. And then we have people in the middle, like myself, who are mesomorphs, and we're all somewhere on that continuum as well. So based on where you are is going to depend on how much starch and carbohydrate you need in your diet. And you do need carbohydrates in your diet. You cannot go completely no carb, and it's just not good for you. So how much do you need in your diet in order to be effective? And when I say effective, what I'm talking about is the less carbohydrates you have in your system, you might feel foggy. You might not be able to think. Your brain actually uses glucose to think, and your muscles need the energy that they get from carbs in order to work properly. Now, if you go on no carb, there is a process that your body takes over where it turns protein into glucose, but it's not a preferred method that your body would like to use. So, you do need some carbohydrates in your diet. Now, the thing is, how much do you need? So there's a carbohydrate tipping point or a starch tipping point. And what that is, and it's unique for everyone, is how much starch you can have in your diet on a daily basis that prevents you from being foggy and lethargic and feeling like you're a walking zombie, but it still allows you to perform at your optimal level, whether that's for sport or whether it's just for daily living. And you don't want to have too much so that you're gaining body fat or having wild fluctuations in cravings or energy, or you're unable to sleep. Sometimes women that I work with will have trouble sleeping, and it's because of blood sugar or carbohydrates in their evening meal. So, there's a range at which for each of us, we need some carbohydrate in our diet, but not too much. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about how much that is for everybody. So again, I'm going to talk about those somatotypes, and I'll give you some rough guidelines based on your body size as to how much you want to have in your diet. So, answer, are carbohydrates your friend or your foe? They can be both, but it depends on what that carbohydrate is. Again, and I want to use the term starch because, again, not all carbohydrates are bad. So are starches your friend or are they your foe? So they are definitely your friend. They give you energy, but you want to tamper the amount that you have based on your own unique needs, to make sure that you don't have so much that you're getting wild fluctuations in your energy and your cravings, but not so little that you're unable to think or function within your daily life, because that's not what food is about. So that's all for me. If you have questions for my 30 days of live video, I would love to hear from you. Just feel free to answer or put something in the comments below here, or you can send me a message on Total Health by Elizabeth, and I would be happy to address that in a future Facebook Live. So I will talk to you all tomorrow. I'll see you then. Have a great day.